Welcome back to Criticult. Noah is behind me. You can see him over there. How you doing, brother?
Good, very good.
How much did you enjoy M3GAN?
5 stars.
5 stars.
No.
Spoiler.
0
Well,
stars.
Actually, spoiler alert. Big time.
You asked me.
We might go through the entire plot. And now, I may do a Kev's notes at some point, but just so you can see, there's no way we can go through all of this. Forgive me, the ring light and the screen might be fucking with you a little bit here. So, sorry, YouTube. But as you can see, we're not going to hit all of my bullet points today. We might have to come back later. But we had a lot of thoughts on this movie, didn't we, Noah?
Yes, sir, we did. And a lot of it was, I don't know. I'm trying to calm myself because this is a marathon, not a sprint. So we'll see.
Where do we start? I guess we start with the basic premise, right? We have to lay out the plot just in case there are those folks out there who don't want to watch this movie but want the plot spoiled for them anyway and want to hear us maybe dunk on it. I don't know. Maybe we will give it 4 thumbs up.
Yeah.
But we'll just how do I briefly put this? Yes, it is Chucky, but with an AI interface, and of course it's now like a my-size Barbie instead of a Cabbage Patch Boy doll. So like there's, and yeah, there's the house is what it's an aunt and her niece, and
Yes.
the aunt creates toys, and she is put in charge of her niece due to a poorly foreshadowed accident that is very ham-fistedly placed upon the audience in the opening scene, but
Yeah. Well.
we'll get there.
Ah.
And then M3GAN does things, right? M3GAN is not obedient, and she starts to run wild and protect her child at all cost. So I don't know, that's a really terrible synopsis of this plot, but that's your last warning to get out before we just destroy the spoilers of this thing from beginning to end. So Noah, do we just want to start at the opening scene? Because I have a gripe immediately in the... Well, no, correct me if I'm wrong. Did this open up in the car with...
Yeah.
What's the child's name, darn it?
Oh, I can't remember because it's so forgettable, honestly. But it started out with it went into Katie. Katie, and it started out with the commercial for the pet or the toy or whatever, which is like Perpetual Pet or what was it? Like it was.
Hey, I've got it. Hang on,
Brother.
1 second. I gotta get there. Perpetual Pets.
Yes.
You were on it.
Yeah. So
per spelled like.
Yeah. And it was
Perpetual Pets. Okay.
And it started out with the ad, and then it did the thing where it cut, like, it was her watching it on, her phone, and then she had the pet in the car, and I just at least it kind of, I guess I will give one good mark to it, is that it just went right into it. There was no long-winded or like annoying 5-minute credit sequence where they like showed the doll being made, or in the fact, like one of those, like it did just
like
kind of go
like a Terminator type, like just like going through the machinery of it. Yeah, no, they didn't have any of that. They immediately just dove in, and they did have an introduction to the other product, which is what were those little things? We had them
Furbies
in the late 90s. No. Like a Tamagotchi kind
of
thing.
Yeah.
You remember those?
Yeah.
Digipets or whatever. Maybe even a Digimon. Before Digimon was a TV show, wasn't it? Just like this little keychain.
It was kind of like that, yeah.
That you fed. I remember my parents getting me one in elementary school and being like, yeah, I'm not even nerdy enough for this. I don't want to feed this digital pet. This is dumb.
Yes.
I will collect Pokemon gladly, but I won't do this.
Yeah, I was the same way. I didn't care about any of that, like,
that's
as
really
a kid.
What the perpetual pet? Correct. What do you think? I viewed this as a Furby meets a Tamagotchi kind of thing, because they were on an iPad feeding cherries to their virtual version of the doll that was sitting next to them in the car,
Yes.
and then
And
part
then
of
they'd
the
poop.
commercial was that they pooped. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was just fart jokes.
Yeah.
It was really dumbed down. Like, I don't know what that felt pointed to me, Noah. Like, as if there
Yes.
was a point, but I don't know what the point was. Was the point that all
Um,
children's toys are stupid? Was the point that fart jokes are funny? Like, I don't know. It was weird how everything was about farts. Like, I
Yeah.
know they wanted to inject some humor into this, I guess, but I don't know. What was your take on just the intro with the perpetual Furby, whatever the hell those things were?
I think you're right. I think they were just making fun of the whole toy industry, and just
There's a lot of that.
yeah, there was a lot of that, and just like the company name is Funky with an I, so
Not Funko.
yeah. And then they even, just to jump ahead, they did that, which got a big laugh, and I just when the guy was like, "Yeah, we're gonna make," what do you say? Like, we're gonna make Hasbro like our bitch or something. I don't even know.
Something like that.
It
Yeah,
was-
today's the day we
Yeah.
put Hasbro in the ground or buried him or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
And then I heard a dude like like that Hasbro's innocent. And they just said about
Yeah, Hasbro paid for that, right?
Mhm.
They paid them to be like, hey, put our name in here.
yeah.
We're the good
that's-
guy. We're the good guy toy store. You could buy our stuff. Which is a lot. There's so much.
There's so much to complain about with this movie, and I'm overwhelmed. It's like,
That's why we have to just go through beginning to end, because
Yeah.
I wanted to jump into the corporate parts
Yeah.
of it, where it's like, hey, you have all of this biting commentary about the corporate world, yet you clearly have no understanding of how it works, because
Right.
this whole plot is based on just this company being the worst run company in the history of tech companies.
Yeah.
But so you have this thing that you apparently want to say, but I don't think you even understand enough about what you're talking about. But I have to pull back. I'm sorry. I need to pull back so we can get back into it. So
it's easy to be overwhelmed with this movie, because like when you think of this movie after you watch it, it's like, I don't know about you, but it's like thinking about all my debt. Like, I'm just like, I don't know where to begin.
I think
I'm
it's
so
worse.
Yeah, it's worse than thinking about someone's debt.
It's a lot. This reminds me of trying to write, an essay for
Yeah.
I don't know, and some kind of final exam. But okay, so we haven't even got out of the first scene, folks.
No. There's
So my big critique
Hang on.
before the parents get hit by a snowplow, they stop in the middle of the road during a snowstorm and say, let's stay here
yeah.
and wait for a snowplow
You mean to be killed?
to clear a path for us,
Yeah.
even though we're on the road. So I don't know how the snowplow is supposed to get through you. And then as the dad is saying, well, how long is that going to take? Oh, wouldn't you know it? You see some lights.
Goodbye.
And then boom, they get smashed. And
And they,
fortunately, the child just gets 4 scratches on her face, and she's fine. The parents are pancakes, but
and the perpetual pet is dead.
yeah, and apparently the pet didn't make it, which was one of the questions the aunt asked, which was hilarious.
And she's like, "Don't worry
"Don't you
about
have any
it.
toys? Where's your Perpetua thing? I got you.
Don't you remember? We were in a car crash." I wish that kid would have just like screamed at
Last I
her.
saw it was in my dead dad's lap. I don't know where it is now. It's just
This
God.
movie was really weird because, like, although it tried to go for that sensitive, typical, like, the little girl's parents died, they actually made light about it, like, a lot, especially later on with the toy boss. Like when he did that ad about like the dead parents, like what? How would that
that's
even be allowed?
right.
Because
Yeah, I
which
forgot
which
about that.
which this isn't. It wouldn't even be okay. This is a little.
I have to find it.
This is a little quick mini rant, but like that was very unrealistic, and there's a lot of unrealistic about this movie. But why would a major conglomerate toy company, one of the biggest, why would that line get through? He was like, "Oh, all kids will enjoy M3GAN, even ones without dead parents. They would not have allowed that to happen, even if you were like an indie company, toy company. That line wouldn't have gone by." It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, no,
It was the movie trying to be witty and ridiculous.
even if your parents aren't dead. I wish I had. It's so hard to just find that one line, but I had a note in here about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's just it makes no sense. And I do love that this portrayal of that CEO
Yeah.
because he was I don't know, kind of Elon-esque in my opinion.
Yeah.
Where he was at one point he says, "Write a few talking points for me about this that makes it seem like I know what I'm talking about." And I was like,
Yeah.
And then when he goes out and he performs the speech, he's actually a much better
Yeah.
much better spokesman than Mr. Musk. But yeah, I love recently, I don't know if you've seen this movie, Noah, but Glass Onion also takes a big jab at tech billionaires and how stupid they are.
No, that's the
Working with
Knives Out
daddy's
mystery movie,
money.
right?
Yeah.
I have not seen that yet, but I need to.
Oh, how fortunate. We can give you a McDonald's franchise or we can send you to Harvard. What would you like, old sonny boy? Steal your roommate's code. Anyway, Megan. Back to Megan.
Yes.
And the tech billionaires responsible for Megan. How else the plot is so frustrating because they're supposed to be making a cheaper version of their Furby toy because their competitor made one that sells at half the price. So
And the butt glowed.
and the butt glowed and made farts. Yeah, more fart jokes.
More fart jokes.
Stupid.
And the boss wanted her to make one that's under $50 or so. That was like the goal.
And instead, what did she do, Noah? They
Made one
spent
like a Tesla.
$100,000 in company money that was unauthorized, and they don't even get a slap on the wrist. They get told you better finish my cheap Furby first, and throw that thing in a closet. It's not like, oh, you stole $100,000 from this company. We're gonna sue you. You're going to jail. Pack your shit up. You don't work here anymore.
The protagonist, she didn't have a love interest. That's why she could spend the money and do whatever, because that was one thing. They didn't have any love interest, so she was all about spending the money and getting the creations.
You use that word, Noah, and
I'm sorry.
I have to fight you on that.
Go for
This
it.
is not a protagonist.
No,
Can
it's not a
Is this now the
protagonist.
time to talk about how not a protagonist our protagonist is?
I said that to annoy you, actually, because I know you go on a rant about it.
Like multiple times in here. I said, how am I supposed to root for this woman? So let's see. So first of all, she's spying on people knowingly with these toys that she makes because it uses microphones and sensors to pick up conversation so it can learn. And even her own coworkers, correct me, right? Like her own coworkers are kind of looking at her weird, like, shit, what the hell are we doing? So then I'm not sure how I'm supposed to root for this lady. She's spying on kids and got her niece a free shitty toy because the mom points that out where she's like, what was Gemma thinking sending us this? The mom was one of those, in my opinion, equally weird people who was like 30 minutes of screen time limited. Screen time, not scream time, but probably less than 30 minutes of screen time if your child's young. But screen time, I mean, I don't know. Listen, think what you want about me, but I spent plenty of time in front of a television. I don't think, I don't know. I'm not going to begrudge parents who let their kids watch TV or play on a tablet. It's not my place to judge that, but this character was that type of person who was like, how dare my sister get our kid this stupid toy?
Yes.
And she, in that moment, she pointed out, like, she works for the company. She probably didn't even have to pay for shipping. So she was kind of calling out, like, this wasn't even a nice thing that our protagonist did.
She had free 2-day shipping.
Yeah. She's just solely focused on her career and sends her niece a free toy because it's what I work on. Now you could, again, that was just the mom's opinion. Maybe it was, I'm sharing a piece of me. Hey, I built this. Isn't this cool? But at the same time, like, look, hey, man, no, you've published some things. I've published some things. Have you ever given your own published work to a family member as a real present? That's not a present.
No.
Dude. I hope not.
It's not
a present. That's more for you and me than it is for the person receiving it, right?
Please read it or review it.
Yeah, like unless it's your like mom or somebody who's like really, like if I get that's still not going to be a present.
No,
that's some bullshit. You don't give somebody something you made as a present unless you made it specifically for them. Not like, here's what I do at work, honey. You want it for free? Like, lame. So she's lame. And on top of that, She spent $100,000 of the company's money illegally. She creates a toy to do her job for her, who her coworkers point out say, like, this toy was supposed to support parents, not replace them.
No, yes.
What else you got? Yeah.
And she has the robot that comes into play later that you can control with your hands, like Power Glove, Nintendo style. Did you mention that yet? I don't. The bot.
Bruce.
Yeah. Oh, that's what his name was.
Yeah,
sorry, I was so
bot.
busy stewing in my anger throughout the entire movie that I couldn't remember names.
Yes.
There were some times where you saw me animated where I like put my hands up and I was like, "Really? This is happening right now?" It was just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know where. I guess we could just go through it. So, yeah, the aunt is like very not good. And also they didn't really have. Maybe I missed it, but there was no like backstory for her to be like so aloof or just.
There's no backstory.
There's no backstory. Okay, so I'm right. Yeah, there was no backstory at all. There was not even a hint of anything. And to bring up other movies like I don't know, like new IPs that happened late last year, like Barbarian or Smile, at least they would delve into the character's history a little bit, but there was none of that in this movie. It
All
was
we
just
know
like,
is she had a sister, and the sister died.
Yeah.
And then we know that she collects toys.
Yeah.
And we know that she's a nerd because she kept wanting to explain to the therapist how the toy should work, and she got very frustrated that the therapist just wanted to roll it like a ball back and forth, which the therapist is not really that important, but just so you know what I'm talking about, there's a therapist. Basically, there's this minor subplot that has no bearing on the story whatsoever, which is that the child's father, so what's her name? Katie's father, who is deceased in the first scene. So his parents in Florida want custody of Katie. And even though it is very clear that Gemma does not want to be a parent, she believes that if her sister chose for Katie to be with her, that means that there's probably something weird about those parents in Florida. And so her whole thing is like, well, if she wants them here, so even though I don't really want her, she has to be here with me. Which, I don't know, it's kind of flimsy in my opinion. But then there's this state-appointed therapist, right? That it's implied that the grandparents have hired, essentially, or because of concerns of the grandparents, the state is there to confirm that Katie's in a healthy living space. That really doesn't, like, does that subplot ever materialize anything?
No, it's just lazy nonsense, and it could have been sensical. It could have been easy to make. Yeah, it could have made sense. Yeah, sensible or logical sense, brother.
When
but
I was young, you said life was so wonderful.
Yeah, it's all right. You can sing whatever you want. I don't. Yeah, the whole thing is. I think that was like the thing about it that struck me as just completely awful, is because there was such a lack of concentrated effort to give the viewer anything. We had no backstory. It was just like, hey, the girl's parents died. Feel bad for her. Okay. Yeah. Well, okay.
I mean, I will.
I will, but like, but give me some more.
Oh my God. This reminds me of a YouTube video that I watched through a YMS review, where it was just sort of like a spoof on how Hollywood studios operate. And they basically used a rock, like an actual rock, not Dwayne, but an actual rock. And it was just this whole skit about, well, what we did was we put two small rocks next to it and then a more attractive rock and said, here's that rock's family. And we found that we don't have to do any of that creative backstory bullshit. So long as we give you a family to care about, people will automatically project themselves onto the main character. And it felt like this movie applied that school of thought, which you should never do because it was a fucking meme. It was a joke. Don't do that. You actually have to. There's a whole book about it called Save the Cat. No, I don't know if you're familiar. But
absolutely.
There are very easy and quick ways to get an audience to like a character. It only takes about 2 minutes of screen time, and maybe like 30 minutes for your author, like
They
for your
they
writer.
could
It's
have
not that hard.
they
to
could
do,
have done
guys.
anything to make the aunt like more intriguing in any way. Like I don't know, look at the phone or look at something or anything to do with her character to make it interesting, or maybe give any nugget of information to make her the way she is. But they didn't give anything.
She's basically Harry Styles in Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
just works. Like her whole
Just
personality
there.
is I work. I'm a
But-
computer nerd and I work.
But
She's much better than him because at least she has like a job where she actually builds stuff. And
But
isn't a
even-
complete incel. But
yeah, but even Harry Styles at the end had a point. There was a payoff with like what his deal was in that movie, you know, and like she doesn't really.
we need to talk about that movie.
Yeah. She doesn't have really, to me, a point in the movie other than just she really is a placeholder, that aunt. Like I haven't seen such a one-note performance in a major movie in a long time. And the actress wasn't really, there was no emotion there really that much. It was just so, I don't know.
It was pretty bad. Now, I will say, while we're talking about performances, I want to give credit where it's due. The actress, the child actress,
Yeah.
was really good.
She's good.
Like, not to say that there weren't times where the performance annoyed me just because she was being an annoying child, but she was
It was believable.
She wasn't doing a bad job. She was doing what the script called for, what the scene asked for, which was, hey, you're supposed to scream and cry and make a scene. And she was really good.
She was really good at it.
Like, I believed everything that kid did in front of the scene. Like, when
That's
she
right.
was angry, I believed it. When she was crying, I would say I think that child was the best actor in the whole movie.
Oh, I agree.
In my opinion. So props
Absolutely.
to her, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kudos. I don't know. Well, I guess, do you want to talk about the first official, well, not the parents died, but the official kill that M3GAN did? Because I got a whole thing about why, I don't know. It's just the dog was the first one, correct?
Oh, the dog was the first.
That was the
kill.
first kill, so-
that is right.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot about that.
So I don't know.
Yeah, you want to talk about it? She's the worst neighbor of all time as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, which was on my list, but I didn't talk about it, so we can talk about that. Worst neighbor of all time. So, yeah, do you want to set the scene for that? For the dog kill?
Yeah, so they set it up where beforehand they foreshadowed, because the dog was just constantly going onto the property and being just the neighbor didn't care about what the dog was doing. She was doing like what was it, like chemicals or whatever. She was spraying stuff and it was bleeding over to her property.
Yep.
The old lady was just annoying and didn't care, and she was also like nosy and just around. And but I gotta admit, I did not expect that to be the first. I didn't expect M3GAN to kill a dog at the very start. I thought she would pick on the bully. I was expecting a typical bully character, which we did get, and we'll talk about that soon.
Oh my God.
Which is BS. And but they did do a cool thing with the dog later, because that was honestly. Let me just tell you my two favorite parts of the movie, and after that, everything else I don't really like at all. The two parts that I liked in this movie were when, after the dog is dead, M3GAN lures with the whimpers of the dog and the barks, and lures the owner into a garage or something? Or
Yes. Well, and they do it in the beginning, right? They lure the dog.
Mm-hmm.
She lures the dog with the owner's voice, and then later it lures the owner with the dog's voice.
Yes.
And there are cues for the audience, right? Like, we can clearly hear the digital, I don't know, the AI. They don't get it right every time, which
Right.
is another thing I have a complaint about for later. So we'll save that for when we get to that. But yeah, this whole voice changing thing, it's very Terminator 2. So
Yes.
I like it. It's a cool thing. The Scream characters could do it.
M3GAN should team up with Ghostface, maybe in Scream 9 or something.
Yeah.
9 or 10, maybe. Can you just imagine Ghostface walking around with M3GAN? I don't know.
Yes.
We joke around, but they did that crossover, it'd probably make hundreds of millions of dollars, but whatever. That's
Megan
fine.
face.
Meg face.
Meg face. Oh my God. So she kills the dog, which is what my note on there was. Megan starts, as all serial killers do, with an animal.
Right.
So that kind of fit, and it worked its way. I mean, let me ask you this. That was very stereotypical to me, wasn't it to you? Like, so we
Yeah.
talked about it. So we've talked about the bully a little bit too. Maybe we can go into the scene.
Yeah.
Because there's another subplot that just gets completely dropped, by the way, is the detectives investigating the multiple murders
Right.
that the family is tied to. That
All the
just
connections.
goes away.
Yeah. Well, they had a big unveiling, Kev, later. That's what they had to focus
maybe
on.
some of this will be addressed in the sequel, and then I'll feel like an idiot. But
Oh,
I
I
don't,
can't wait.
But I don't. You only got the sequel because of how many tickets this sold. Maybe you believed, maybe you had faith that you would get that sequel, but I feel like it's kind of a ripoff to. It's Chekhov's gun, right? Like you're supposed to deliver on these things. If you bring them up to us as an audience, right? No, you're supposed to deliver,
Right.
And I just felt that wasn't delivered upon.
The thing that's a big problem with this movie in general is because it made a lot of money, so obviously they greenlit a sequel, and you whispered that to me in the theater.
Yeah.
You're like, they already did it.
Yeah, sorry, brother.
And it's like, yeah. But it's like, my thought is, and we won't talk about the ending just yet, but they really, realistically, I will just say that in a world, yeah, they would not fucking do anything with these dolls. So the way that the sequel happened, no, I don't know how they basically, what I'm saying is they box themselves in. They have boxed themselves in because the chaos that happened, literally people from the company that made the thing were murdered. Why would this shit continue? That's what I want to know.
Exactly, dude.
Because it's not like Scream or Halloween or all this stuff where it can go on. Yeah, this is a company, a huge conglomerate. How the fuck are they going to continue this?
And how did they get to it in that you mentioned the company, the huge conglomerate, and
Yeah.
I think it's time to talk about that, because this whole thing happened because apparently this multi-million-dollar company has no quality assurance.
No.
None.
Which makes no sense because those two people, her helpers, said, how is it violent? We went through, didn't they say, extensive research and development with it. It can't. They straight up said in the movie at one point, Megan cannot be violent. She's programmed specifically to never hurt anybody. So how the hell did this happen? That's what I want to know, because they said that they tested this a lot. And they even had, we can go back to the beginning, but they had a scene at the start where it showed Megan, which I kind of liked a little bit, where they showed Megan glitching and her head blew up like she was set aflame. And they were like, oh, back to the drawing board. It was like an MMA fighter getting knocked out. So it's like, okay, so they had to keep fixing it up. Well, if it went completely evil and then go like, oh, humanity deserves this, which, oh God, I can't wait till we talk about that scene. But like, how did none of that show up in their glitch research? It just magically became violent, like murdering people. It just doesn't make any sense.
It really, yes, it makes no sense. Like, how do you build a toy that has that kind of capability? And they try to explain it away in one quick line where they say, what? Like, we taught it to think and adjust its own parameters. Like,
Yeah.
why? No,
That's not.
no, and why? And also, no, you would never put this out into any kind of production without the fail-safe. And see, and I know a lot of these, like, so I work for a software company in my day job, so I know very well how much testing goes into things before they put it live. And that's not even what we deal with, is not anything nearly as intricate as a fucking Android you're going to have babysit your children.
Android, that's
no way.
The same price as a Tesla or a little lower, is what they said. I mean, the owner of the company knew it was really crazy expensive, which, by the way, that was a funny little thing. Talk about flip-flopping with the plot. The boss was like, we talked about it earlier, but you need to make something that's like cheap on the market, that, mainstream, that every kid can get $50 or less. But then it's like, no, fuck that. Now we're going to have 100,000, like all this money going into this. And it's like, it just seems so flip-floppy with how they did things in this movie. It was like, you know what I mean? It just, I don't know. Maybe they should have an end credit. We didn't stay till the end because my heart was just, it was blackened by this flick.
Yeah.
But like, if I would have done an end credit where like, she's like, I made the $50 toy, and they'd be like, we don't give a shit. Like, this company's done. But again, how the hell are they going to make a sequel? But we'll just get back to the beginnings here.
Oh, they set it up, though. They did set up that sequel.
I guess so.
So, okay. We have admittedly gone off the rails
Yes.
on the attempt to tell this story chronologically. So I'm trying to think of the good place to get it back to.
The bully.
Is the bully the
Yeah,
next part? Yeah, I think that's
like,
the next big major plot point, right?
So,
I think you're right.
Yeah, so before the bully scene where they went on like this field trip or like a hunt with kids, there was this asshole kid. He was a bully kid. And I was wondering, why wasn't that earlier? Because I was just waiting for that typical bully drivel. And it happened, but it was just... First, it was really creepy because he terrorized the little girl, and he like got on top of her. I was like, what is this? What's going on here? Like, what does this bully want? Like, you know what I mean? It got really uneasy. Like, what was he? Were they insinuating that he was like going to like do something really horrible to her? Like, not typical bully? Because he was like mounted on her.
Yeah, that got weird.
It got weird.
It was such a weird, and he just starts like beating up a doll because what, you don't want to play with me? So,
like make her talk. Like, why would he care?
I don't know who wrote this thing, man, and I don't want to be a dick.
They suck. Dox me, bro.
I don't think you have interacted with a lot of human beings before.
No.
Or whoever edited it. Someone somewhere interjected a lot of non-humanity into a script that really required people to act the way that people do in order for your story to make sense. So I don't know. Yeah, he was just he was the raging, I don't even know. Like, he's like a roided out 12-year-old. It made no sense. Because I think I caught the end of this. I believe I was still in the restroom. I missed the abduction of M3GAN, so maybe you fill the audience in on this part. So, I saw the end of it, and it makes no sense.
So basically what had happened is they were at the thing, and they actually set up that bully where, like, not his mother, but he had, like, a aunt or grandma or something, and she was talking to the aunt of the little girl of Katie, and she was like, oh, you know how kids are. He grew up, or he sprouted. And then the girl says like something to the boy when he's going out in the woods, like, hey, just, be nice or do this or do that. And he just, the one fuck in the movie, he just like turns over to her and goes, fuck off. And like, it was a PG-13 movie, so you missed the one fuck in the movie.
Oh,
that was it.
Damn.
So then she just looks at the end like, you know how kids are, you never know what they're gonna say. So then he went out to bother her, which for no reason really. I mean, that little girl didn't like accidentally like trip him or nothing happened. It was just, he was literally there again as a placeholder, a typical character placed in the thing. And then the M3GAN, the doll or the android, was like placed with all the other toys of the kids. So then, which was a cool shot. She was with like teddy bears and stuff, and it looked kind of cool. And then they show the tree where all the toys are, and she's gone. So basically, she activated herself. She was turned off, and she activated herself when she saw Katie go out to the woods. And then that's when the bully was like, oh, who's this? What's this? And then, the one thing is like M3GAN stretched his ears, like, He was gonna have cauliflower ears before she ripped them off.
Ripped it off.
Yeah.
Yes, which was a very big clue that was left that apparently just doesn't matter.
Minor subplots, not worth a damn. They don't care. The plot of like the detective or the cops coming made no point. This whole movie is almost like just a big minor subplot because it's just it didn't. I don't know. It didn't make me excited to see the next one. That's for sure.
Yeah, because it goes from she rips the bully's ear off, or at least part of it off, and then she chases him through the woods and runs like a gorilla, which I still to this day, is it faster to run on all fours?
For M3GAN it is.
I guess it definitely is for her.
And then what happened, Kev?
She chased him out in the street, and he gets run over by a car.
Yep.
And then a couple days later, M3GAN decides that she's going to kill the neighbor, and I'm not 100% sure what the threat level was. Was it just because the neighbor kept calling the police about her missing dog?
Yeah.
And so M3GAN was like, well, I got to kill this lady now.
One reason, a major reason, was that, we don't know the levels, as I whispered to you there in the theater about M3GAN's mic levels. I wish they would have gotten into that as an audio guy. I want to know like her hearing levels, how good it was. But I don't think M3GAN really liked that neighbor was like, she's looking out the window at 3 a.m. Like, she knew that M3GAN was like looking at her shit. Yeah. And it's like, no, anytime M3GAN felt threatened, she, M3GAN's not going to dox you. She's going to rock you and she's going to kill you. That's basically what she does.
Which, again, I don't know. That's the part that I don't know that I'll ever watch this a second time. But
it's not worth it.
The answer to some of these questions, I think, could be found in a second watch, maybe, but...
Like what, though?
Well, it doesn't track to me. Why does... Like, if M3GAN's goal was to keep Katie safe, there was no reason, or maybe... I'm trying to think of a logical reason that she could have made for killing the neighbor. That doesn't just turn into M3GAN equals evil, right? Like how, based on her original parameters, which are to keep Katie safe, is it, well, I think if the aunt gets arrested, then there's no guardian, so I have to kill. Because the reality is that killing that neighbor is the most sus thing she could have ever done, so she really failed. So she's like a shitty android, right? Like she's not even good at her job. She drew attention to the family. She made the situation worse.
Well, and what I don't understand about this, and I wish they would have gotten into it a little more, is how was M3GAN so good at like being an expert like digger? Like she buried the dog. They didn't show that, but she buried the dog. She hid the neighbor. Like she's doing all this stuff that like you would think she's like a Michael Myers or a Jason Voorhees. Like how does she know how to do all this? It's just there's no point in it. Maybe if they would have done like a side plot maybe and explained maybe there was some psycho that worked at that place and they didn't know the person was psycho and they were doing it as like a troll job. Like I'm going to put like crazy shit in there in M3GAN's like chip. They didn't do anything. So how is M3GAN doing all this? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think that was the auteur's point, was that humanity is so fucked that just by teaching this robot to learn like a human, that it would immediately become a fucking psychopath murderer, man.
Yeah,
because
but
we're all pieces of shit, man.
That's what was so extreme about it, because that stupid like lesson of the humanity thing, like you talked about.
Humanity kills
humanity.
People all
why
the
can't
time,
I?
So why can't I? Because I'm M3GAN and I have a point, and nobody proofread my script.
But exactly. But maybe in real life, maybe M3GAN would offer like a gift card to that neighbor, or like giving her money to calm her down, or I just don't understand how M3GAN would just immediately go to I'm gonna and expertly kill people too. She killed that neighbor very well.
You know what M3GAN could have done to solve the problem non-violently?
What's that?
Fix the fucking hole in the fence that a simple 2x4 and 4 nails would have fixed. Now, for those of you who didn't watch the movie and don't know what the fuck I'm talking about,
I would have paid good money for that.
This dog kept running into the yard and, in fact, M3GAN was snatched by the dog. She was trying to get Katie's arrow, which somehow dipshit Katie had shot her arrow right into the only hole in the fence that was on the ground, by the way. It's a ground hole, like the kind of groundhog makes.
Found a hole.
And so M3GAN goes to reach for the arrow. The dog grabs M3GAN. Katie tries to get M3GAN. The dog bites Katie.
Right.
What would have solved that? Well, if the lazy fucking ant would have just fixed the fence, like the neighbor asked multiple times in the movie. Again,
Correct.
It takes one hammer, 4 nails, and a 2x4. And if you don't have the authority in your shoulder to hammer them, some bitches, get you an electric screwdriver. You're going to need one around the house anyway. And go ahead and screw them in. It would take... Noah, 6 minutes to fix the hole in the fence?
I work with wood, brother.
Right.
How does she not have woodworking in her repertoire?
You don't even need to be a wood. You could be Michael Gary Scott, and you could take 4 screws and screw a fucking plank into a board and keep a dog from getting under there. That's what I'm saying.
You bring a good point.
You do not need to be Jesus Christ Carpenter to do this job. And so if her actual parameter was keep this teenager safe, you would just fucking fix the hole in the fence. You wouldn't go murder a dog. Like, who wrote this fucking...
Yes.
I want to take you to dinner and then leave you after I've rung up a bill so that you have to pay for my dinner, you dipshit that made me pay $5 for this movie. Are you kidding me?
Come
right
at
now?
us.
Oh, my God. And people say I'm a fence sitter. Are you kidding me?
No, you're not a fence sitter, brother. You bring a good point too. And that would have been even more okay with a movie. It's supposed to push it forward and or entertain. That scene that you just described, if they would have had M3GAN like fix the fence, it would have been funny. It would have been entertaining, and it would actually have shown that M3GAN is equipped with knowledge to do a lot of different things. Instead, no, I'm just gonna go kill the dog and the girl. Yeah. I don't care. No, it would have been funny if like she would have fixed the fence and then like the neighbor was an asshole and like accidentally like broke it or did something to like make it worse, then maybe M3GAN would have been that justified to kill them. But it's like still she went. That's what I did not get about this movie. It's like again and again. Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, even Scream, the original, like they all had reasons to kill in their own justification. Like we did it because of this or that. With M3GAN, it's like, what? Oh, Katie, like she didn't, I don't know.
Right. And then at that point it stops, right?
Yeah.
Because after a while, like what does trying to kill people in that office have to do with Katie?
It doesn't.
It doesn't have anything to do with anything.
It doesn't have to do anything with anything.
I would love to know how bad that Child's Play remake movie that had Mark Hamill in it was, because multiple people told me that this was better than that movie. Now, not the series, mind you.
The remake that came out like 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, and
people told me that this was better than that, and that this was what that should have been. And I haven't seen that one, but I'll tell you what, I will never watch it. If this was better than anything, I'm never going to watch any movie that M3GAN was better than, because I did not enjoy this whatsoever.
If you think that M3GAN, I challenge you, sir. You go watch and you make a video about it on this channel, and you watch the newest Child's Play movie. And if you think that's worse than M3GAN, I'll buy you a burrito at Chipotle. It's not worse.
Ooh, that's a good deal.
That's a good deal. Take it for real.
Shit, I can probably buy that movie for $12.
You could probably rent it for $3, or maybe it's probably on one of your streaming services you already have.
Let's do it.
Probably on like HBO Max or something. I don't know.
As we get. I mean, okay, so we've gotten to, I mean, we're pretty much through it all with the main portions of the plot here, because now we've gotten to the point where
the aunt knows that bad shit's going on.
The aunt knows that bad shit. We kind of glossed over the whole M3GAN and Katie doing a demo for the boss. That the aunt keeps her job by, which again, how is this my protagonist?
Yes.
This woman forces her niece, who just got bit by a dog the night before to do a demo with this robot. Like, there is nothing you could get me to do. There's nothing you could do to get me to root for this woman at the end.
Sucks.
Like, all she's doing at the end is trying to make amends for how shitty of a person she has been. She'd have been better off. The solution to this movie was to let that kid live with the crazy fucks in Florida. Are you kidding me?
Maybe that's what the sequel's going to be.
The worst aunt ever.
And then, oh my God, that's what it's going to be, isn't it?
It's so dumb.
Katie's going to live with the bad parents in the other state, and then Megan 2.0 is going to have to come. Is that probably what it's called, Megan 2.0? I bet anything.
Yes.
Lord.
What else would they call it? I'm not sure what they would call it, but maybe they'll just call it Elsie, right? Because here we go. We'll talk about that.
Yes.
The aunt also created Alexa, but decided to call it Elsie. And Megan corrupts Elsie, and it's made pretty obvious throughout the movie, but then at the very end they do this in the final scene before Megan shows up, Elsie doesn't respond to the owner, and then at the very, very end they have Elsie kind of turn on its own with a light, and then it looks at the camera. So they put that in there, obviously, in case this made enough money to set up a sequel, which unfortunately it did.
It did. And it's...
I mean, fortunately, I guess whoever... look,
we're having fun dissing it.
Yeah, I love shitting on it, but, this created jobs. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy for the people that will get another job out of this.
It was probably in the credits. This created 5,000 jobs. Yeah. Thank you, Megan.
Please clap.
Yeah.
It's like the Jeb Bush of movies.
Yeah.
Like,
I wish I worked on
dude.
Megan. This got me $150,000 house. Yeah. How dare you talk bad about this flick?
God damn.
But it's just ridiculous, and I don't know, man. But there's so many I wouldn't say plot holes, is just a lack of logic, because like you said, the cops it falls by the wayside. Oh, who cares? And that actually was one of the only tension building moments, because that was realism of like, all these are connected, man.
Yeah, and then just nothing ever comes of it.
Nope, nothing. They just drop it, and then they just go. This movie also has a weird act structure, because the finale doesn't even feel like a finale. It's just like, whatever, we're at the place, we're gonna unveil Megan, and then chaos ensues where she just kills employees. Like you said, it's nothing to do with Katie, and
she's just like, I gotta kill my way to freedom. And I honestly, it was weird. I think we both at one point we thought the third act started earlier than it did.
Yes. Yeah.
Like at one point we both were like, okay, we're in the third act, and then there was about 15 minutes more, and then it was the third act, and I'm just kind of like,
it felt like forever.
Why did you drag that out? You were there.
Yes.
And then you were like, oh shit, we haven't told much of a story yet, have we? Okay, let's spend a bunch of time trying to prep for this product launch, which again, never happens.
Never happens.
So why do we spend so much fucking time prepping for it?
They prepped. The whole movie was based basically on, we've got to launch this product, and we got to be first. And they build up to it, and then it's basically almost like Megan is Rambo, held captive, a POW. POW, Megan. She gets out. And that scene.
The convenience of that with the elevator. Everyone looks at the dead bodies in the elevator conveniently so that she can just waltz out the fucking front door.
It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
So bad.
And it's so bad. And you didn't even, you mentioned in your notes, but the scene there was like, fuck this movie. She gets in a convertible or Lamborghini or whatever, and she drives. But you know what? They even fuck up that ridiculousness, because they don't show her literally driving for a while. They just like show her outside getting in, and then they just cut away. They should have really gone all in on that and made it ridiculous.
She didn't steer. It was the AI. Do you remember when she intercepted a phone call without touching the phone?
That's right. Which that was annoying.
Bullshit.
That was bullshit, because the girl looked at it and was like, fuck it.
Oh, I see a call ended with my best friend and coworker. It was only lasted 37 seconds. I didn't call her.
Kevin, I love
I don't
you.
want to ask her what, like, dude, if I look at my phone and I see I have a
You called me.
37-second call that just ended from Noah, I'm calling him back
Yeah.
to be like, hey, dude, I missed your call. What's up?
Yeah.
Who the fuck did you just talk to for 37
Right.
seconds? Because it wasn't me.
Right.
But no, our characters won't do that. You know why? Because plot convenience and
Yes.
shitty writing is why.
Yes.
That's why. And there's no excuse for
And
it.
there was
I'm
no
sorry.
and there was no ticking time bomb. There was no excuse of like, oh no,
Makes
this
no
is going to
sense.
blow up or something bad is going to happen. Like she wasn't in a rush. She just literally looked at the phone, saw the 37 seconds, which by the way, that's why I
Looked
said
concerned.
that's why I said I loved you, because I can't believe you remember that, because I remember that too, the 37 seconds, because I'm like, that is a sufficient amount of time to look at that phone and be like, it's not a butt dial. That was a conversation for a moment. Yeah. So why? And the girl just looks at it like, whatever.
Not to
it's cool.
mention, you can't butt dial when your phone's sitting untouched on a table.
Thank you.
Who
Thank you.
answered it? Who called it? Like, there's no reason.
She didn't even say anything
And
to
you're
her
a tech
partner.
person. She's a fucking.
She's a tech person.
Like, she built an Android.
Screw this
Are you
movie,
killing,
dude.
Are you kidding
Dude,
me?
screw this movie.
So much of this plot exists because character is dumb
Yes.
in the moment. Because this character does this dumb thing, the plot is allowed to continue. And that is just bad writing. And someone along the way should have looked at this and said, guys, what the fuck are we doing?
I have one big
Sorry
question.
for all the
which,
F-bombs, but also
Yeah.
I'm not sorry at all.
we've been pretty good with it.
I'll do what I
somewhat.
want. It's my
Yeah,
you can
that's
demonetize
right.
me. You think I'm making money off this?
No, yeah.
I do it for the love, brother.
That's for the love of the game.
I do it for all the little Criticult maniacs out there
Yeah.
drinking their twisted teas. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And then another big subplot that they had was that all of the stuff that was uploaded to the cloud, like the videos and everything, they just didn't explain how Megan was able to fucking corrupt
She can
that.
delete her own
She can
memories,
delete her own
dude.
memories and stuff. How can you do that?
Which I would say, okay, I will say, generally speaking, if it weren't for all the other issues, that would have been something I would forgive the movie for.
Yeah.
But when you're so lazy everywhere else, at this point, we're just piling on.
Yeah, it's just
because
piling
you
on.
clearly didn't think about hardly any of this plot.
No.
I mean, I'm just so frustrated.
So
By
frustrated.
this whole thing. How did they manage to spend $100,000
Well,
without the company knowing?
if you want to
How
talk
do you-
about
and then the CEO doesn't have access. There is no way that they had a secret basement lab that the CEO's key card didn't work for.
no.
That's crazy. Like and now I'm splitting hairs, but it's just like
That's not splitting hairs though. You're right, because if he's so concerned and he's frugal about like get the $50 things, we need to save, we need to do this cost effective, then how does she do that?
How are you able to sneak around and build a fucking Android?
How does she do it?
How are you able to build Blade Runner in the basement when you're on the clock and you have a deadline? That makes no sense. Like, whoever wrote
stupid.
this has clearly never worked a job in their entire life
No.
because they have no idea how impossible that would be.
Everything was
And
too
I'm not asking you
convenient.
to have to have done that, right? But talk to someone who has.
Absolutely.
Involve people who know about what it is you're talking about before you go out there and just blurt a bunch of nonsense out for this bad. This was bad.
In this movie, what stuns me about it, maybe I'd be a little more forgiving if it were like a super indie take on this, but it was a commercial movie. The budget was $12 million, and it's made 10 times that or more already. But the thing about it is, like, they've had a huge marketing campaign for this movie. They probably had a lot of test groups. Yeah, they did the smile thing. They've had viral marketing. They've had this. So what I'm saying is they've had to have like test groups and research. Like, how did this? There was no logic in so many of the things in it. I don't understand it. Because as a writer and we're in the field, and I'm especially like with scripts, like everything is so just police interrogated, like that light is on you and questioning every single thing. People ask questions. How did people not fucking ask questions about Megan? There's so many things. And you could pay somebody like a script advisor online like $100 and they could have fixed that script. They could have just suggested shit. I just want to know, how it went through. That's all I want to know.
I think there's some dudes on Coverfly who'd
Exactly.
fix that thing for a credit.
I would
pay them in
dude,
real American money.
I would have, hey, come at me, bro. I have 48 credits. I can pay. I will help. I'm on Coverfly. Catch me.
Noah can fix M3GAN 2.0.
I was
Just
yeah, I
let
was
him look at it.
Yeah, I was about to bring up Coverfly, but I didn't want to get too nerdy deep dive. So
This is not
but thank
sponsored,
you.
by the way.
No,
but
not
yeah.
sponsored. But that is true though.
But
like
if you
could.
want a professional to look at your script, you can find Noah on Coverfly.
Yeah, get me.
Not me though. I don't have
Yeah.
the kind of time to read your shit. So
I'll read your
but
90.
I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's great. I
I'll
should have called
read-
it shit. I believe
Yeah,
it's great.
it's
But
great.
Shit, I didn't mean it in the negative term. But
Believe in yourself.
you
Believe
got
in
this,
yourself.
man. You got this.
But keep failing too. Yeah. But I don't know. Where are we at with this movie? Is that basically we covered the gist,
I
right?
feel like we're kind of there, right?
Yeah.
It ended with the daughter or the niece choosing her real stepmom niece
And
or
then-
real stepmom aunt over her robot stepmom
Yeah.
sister friend.
But then the
And-
Power Glove robot came into play at the end, which was ridiculous.
Yeah, and then she did a Pacific Rim thing where she fought the robot with
real-
her own robot.
Real steel.
And instead of M3GAN, I don't know, attacking the human that was controlling the robot, she decided she'd fight this robot.
Yeah. Wait a second. That's a great point. God, Kev, you're so smart because why?
I'm not that smart.
No,
It's not that hard.
It's just logical. But why? If M3GAN is like this
Ask these
master,
questions.
M3GAN's like this masterful killer and can hide
Yeah.
bodies and do all this shit, but she can't see like a little girl controlling two gloves on a
Right,
robot.
and it's clearly no longer about being Katie's best friend.
Right.
Like the M3GAN has clearly become self-sufficient. The most important thing to it is its own survival. So why?
I don't get it.
When it knows I could fight like this, I don't know, a ton of steel, or I could attack the 8-year-old that's controlling it.
I know.
Why
yeah.
are you choosing to fight? And then it stays dumb because Bruce, the controlled bot, rips M3GAN in half.
Yeah.
And everyone acts like M3GAN's actually dead, as if she has organs or something, as if she's the kind of entity that can't survive being torn in half.
Right.
Anyone who's been paying attention to the movie knows that all the important parts are up here.
Exactly.
So
The
I
chip.
some big turn, right? When the thing crawled out and they actually had to rip her face off and stab the brain chip or whatever.
That's right.
Which again, another cliche, and that's at this
Yep.
point. I love this genre. I really do.
We've had our fill of killer evil
But-
robots. We really have.
Well, and
Have we had enough?
Have we not had our fill of he's not really dead the first time?
Right.
Like Jesus.
I mean, yeah, Scream pointed at it in 1996. They were talking about it then.
Yeah, it's been fucking
Like, this is the part where
20
somebody comes out.
years.
Yeah. 20
Goddamn
plus.
20 years.
25. Wait, how many years? Like,
It's been 30
27
years.
years.
We're closing on 30 years.
good
yeah,
Lord.
Yeah, exactly.
But
God
the
damn.
one thing is, like, you do okay, so one of my last thoughts on this is you do the typical stuff about, like, the bully and the dog, and you do all this stuff, like, where you would expect the kills like that, okay? Why couldn't they do a scene changed up a little bit? This is why I actually be your script advisor, M3GAN people. Seriously, you should have had, like, the little girl's ball go into, like, an old neighbor's yard across the street, and then M3GAN, the old person, gets angry. M3GAN goes over there, kills the old person, and goes, activate euthanasia. Do something different. Do something different, like activate euthanasia. You suck. Kill the old person. Why do you have to do, like, oh, this asshole bully little kid? Like, you do all the same stuff. I just want, if you're gonna kill people in movies, do something different, because I'm pretty sure activate euthanasia has not been said in a movie. Come at me. Damn it.
You would have had that at least, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I
I'm
don't
just
know how
tired.
to feel about this. It frustrated me, and I think the more we talk about it, the more frustrated I get, because
Yeah.
the more we talk about it, the more it's like, oh yeah, and what about this? And oh yeah, and what
There's
about
so
that?
many
There's
problems.
so many little things. I will say, I didn't sit there and fume in the theater, right? Like I was frustrated, but if anything, I think I laughed at it
Yeah.
more than I got mad. So if you have that capability, and if you don't mind, this is the kind of movie, I say this a lot on this channel, if you are part of your local theater's rewards program, or if they have a $5 night or any kind of discount night. M3GAN is a discount night kind of movie.
Yes.
M3GAN is not a full price. Paid $20 for my ticket.
Hell no.
And $13 just to eat something and have a soda. Like, no, this is not a movie worth spending $30 to $40 to enjoy. I would wait to just see where it streams. And I mean, to be honest, I don't know. No, I'm never going to watch this again unless it's for podcasting reasons, unless there's a second and a third one that come out, and I, for some reason, I will never willingly and for my own enjoyment watch this movie. I think that's the best way to put it.
Because there's nothing to take from it. It's not multifaceted. It's not. And also, one of the thoughts I just had was like, who would watch M3GAN? Who would buy M3GAN on Blu-ray, DVD, whatever, if they even will continue to do that in the future? But like, but like, who would watch this movie the way somebody would watch like the original, you know, Friday the 13th or Halloween, and be like, I want to do this? Because to me, M3GAN is not inspiring. It's just garbage. It's just the usual shit. There's nothing that makes me excited to like. Now it makes me want to like make my own movies and be different, but I'm talking about like the rose, you know, colored glasses, like kids out there that would watch this, that love movies. Would it inspire anybody? I mean, or I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
Everybody's different.
Here's the thing about, you got to remember about children.
Yeah.
Is they're gullible and easily impressionable, and they don't know good cinema from bad cinema. And I say that as a former child who loved lots of things that once he revisited them as an adult was like, oh man, that is trash, and I hate it. It does not hold up. So I say all that to say, yes, I mean, despite what we believe, there could very easily be some younger children. I don't necessarily know that if I were a parent, a young child would be watching this, but you know, I got to watch some things that my parents probably wouldn't have allowed if they'd have known that I was watching it, and it helped me want to become a filmmaker. Even though now, when I look back on these things, I'm like, wow, that sucked ass.
Yeah. I just 20 years from now, I could never. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I could never see like a commentary track or a make-in be like, M3GAN was my shit. That started everything for me.
Really got started. I saw M3GAN in a theater, and
that changed my life, dog.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's Halloween. You know, I don't think it'll be spoken of with the same reverence as John Carpenter's The Thing.
Like when the ant
plucked two from the same guy there, but
well, you know, you love that movie.
Everybody knows I love John Carpenter.
That's right.
It's not a secret here.
Yeah. I was like, when the ant said, M3GAN, turn off, and M3GAN was like, are you sure? I'm a fucking filmmaker. That made me do it. I'm doing it. Done. Although I will say that part was kind of cool because she looked at her and just went, are you sure? Instead of just going right off. And that was in the middle of the movie. And then there was a pause where the ant looked at M3GAN, and then M3GAN just goes, download in progress. So it was almost like she said that as an excuse why she rebelled and said, are you sure? Because she's like, I'm downloading. It's almost like if you turned off your console, they're like, but you're downloading.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because I think I missed that. That was also part of my
your break popcorn.
I'll be honest with you guys. I took a lap. You know, I was like, I gotta pee, and then I decided, you know what? I haven't gotten my free popcorn tonight, and I'd rather go get that than and stretch my legs than go back to whatever this movie is doing to me. So.
Sadly, I stayed through the whole time, and I wanted to die. But
so I would say, we clearly do not recommend this for all of you. We've had about an hour now, so I think we're probably about time to wrap it up, right? Do you have any final thoughts, Noah, for the folks at home about this film?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to stick with this, but I will say that my first thought after the credits started was, I never want to watch another evil robot movie, and I never want to watch another Michael Myers movie, because this movie, I bring that up because Halloween Ends gave me the same angry feeling. Yeah. But at least, as you said when we were at Speedway, the gas station, name dropper, go Speedway. but you said when we were talking about that, and you said, yeah, but at least with like Halloween, we expected it to, like, that was the supposedly final chapter of everything. And it was like, okay, respect the legacy or the whole everything of Halloween. And they didn't. But with M3GAN, it was just kind of like a boneheaded first entry where they thought they were cuter than they really are.
Yeah,
That's,
like this was supposed to start a franchise.
Yes.
Like at least Halloween Ends was the 12th installation
Yeah.
of a long dead saga that we all are just kind of like, okay, buddy, come on, you can do it. Like,
right.
just ride off into the sunset. Like, we all want you to do it. We want to see you,
Yes.
have that glorious exit, but you just can't put it together. Meanwhile, M3GAN, this is like you're
Yes.
trying to start your next franchise, and this is how you start it.
It just gave me the same sinking feeling.
This feels like, you know what this reminded me of to some extent, even though I haven't watched it, but I have received a lot of negative feedback on Mindy Kaling's Velma.
Oh,
where
yeah.
she has sort of just bastardized the source
Yeah.
material and kind of
Made it raunchy.
and she self-inserted herself as Velma.
Wow.
And just basically, from what I've heard, has made a show that is basically just for herself. Like, no one who likes Scooby-Doo likes this show.
Really? Wow.
No one that I know that likes other things that Mindy Kaling has done. Like no one. I've yet to meet a person who's had one nice thing to say about Velma.
I have it in the queue.
And that's how I feel about M3GAN. I feel like this was a movie that a filmmaker, the people who made this movie, or at least whoever was the top person in charge for the final release, is not a people person and doesn't understand how people think. They don't understand how to draw an audience. They couldn't draw money with a green crayon, as Jim Cornette would say. And somehow, they are blessed by the fact that they got some models to dress up like M3GAN and go stand at basketball games and football games or whatever. They took the successful Smile marketing strategy, and their marketing strategy worked because whoever made this movie doesn't resonate with the rest of humanity to me. Like they don't understand what a lot of us they made a movie for themselves instead of for you or for me or for anyone else. It was a very specific protagonist that I don't know. I had a very hard time rooting for this aunt who for some reason didn't want the responsibility to take care of her niece, but felt obligated to do it. But there was a family that wanted to take care of her, but they weren't good enough for some reason. But I've got to make this robot, and I only care about my job, and I don't care about my kid. Like, who am I? Who is this for?
And
who is this movie for?
Yeah, and there was no hint of her wanting a life with anybody. So there was no like man or woman or any, like I said earlier, love interest. So it was really. You didn't learn anything about the aunt at all.
Which fair, yeah, because I was about to say, like, you don't necessarily need a love interest, but like,
I'm kind of glad they didn't do that. But you need something to like bring it in, hone it in.
We have no reason to give a shit other than, oh, this poor 7-year-old's parents died. Don't you care? Don't you love the 7-year-old? And because this is the 7-year-old's guardian, you'll root for her no matter how shitty of a person we make her.
Yeah. They're really lucky, though, as we talked about. That kid was good in the role, the little kid, because if they had a really bad actress,
child actor, oh my God.
It would have been excruciating to watch.
You would gouge your eyes out and poke your eardrums.
Yeah, because she was...
Or just leave the theater, I guess.
I will leave on one positive note, like M3GAN and the little girl, Katie, like they had that formula or that little dynamic. It worked because that girl was good. It was believable. It felt like that little girl did love M3GAN. So that was, I guess, a good thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was just like everything around the world just sucked. The world building, could we even say that the movie had world building? It was so bullshit. It's
they had next door neighbor building that.
Didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it didn't go anywhere. Yeah, she killed the neighbor with some chemicals. Really dumb. Really dumb.
Kicked her and was horrible. Like,
and the
brutal.
cops were onto it, but not. The cops were onto it, but then they just didn't care anymore.
And also, maybe I'm just like reading into things with this modern world, but I mean, there are cameras and Ring cameras just everywhere. Nobody would have seen that damn android doll like burying dogs and.
Yeah, here's our modern take on Chucky, but we're gonna discredit the fact that virtually everyone in every neighborhood has security footage now.
Yeah.
So everyone would know exactly what happened to that fucking dog.
Yeah, you don't think that there'd be a TikTok of like, damn, this M3GAN bitch, like, like burying a dog or an old lady? Like, come on now.
Yeah. I press X to doubt. So
Yes.
there we go. I will just say I will come back with the Kev's notes. I don't know how we'll do it. It's like 3 pages worth of notes. I'd much rather do a commentary track most of the time, but with movies like this, I don't know that I'll watch it a second time. So we'll definitely get the notes out at some point. But Noah, do you have any final thoughts for the folks here about M3GAN or a final score? You don't have to give a score if you don't want. But figured before I send them home, I'll hand you the mic.
When I watched it, I tried to like it. I really wanted to like find anything to really like about it. And at a few points in the movie, I was like, well, I'll just focus on the cinematography. Maybe that's really good. I'm just not, my anger is just shadowing me, or it's just, clouding me. But no, even the cinematography is just basic, bare bones. There's no innovative. I can't think of one scene that was innovative or like, wow, that's really cool what they did. But other movies I've seen recently, they had cool shots and I can remember things, but it's just, to me, M3GAN is quite forgettable. But like you said, when we were walking out of the theater, all they care about is money. And this movie was successful. It made 10 to 12 times its budget already. And it just came out, didn't it? It's not old.
It's not old. Yeah,
it's like 2 or 3 weeks old or something. I don't know.
And yeah, and to add to your point, instead of doing something cool, what they did was they had the M3GAN dance, right? They had that weird scene where the CEO is,
which was the point of that?
Complaining. He's calling our protagonist to complain to her about how she left and how the doll's not there. Now, little does he know that as soon as he hangs up the phone, he's going to turn around. There's the doll right there. M3GAN's right there.
And she's going to murder.
And she decides to do a dance before murdering because that was ever and again, why?
There was no reason at all.
What's the reason to it? Why does you went from she's doing this to protect the child, which was, although it was a very flimsy reasoning, at least it had some level of reasoning to it. Now she's just going upstairs doing a weird fucking dance while somehow this tech corporation has a fucking old 1998 paper cutter that she can just grab the giant fucking sword off of.
Which wouldn't have been in that scene.
I haven't seen one of those since I was in 7th grade, maybe, but go ahead.
Which, one last thing about that, because I totally forgot about that dance because it was so ridiculous.
As you should, yes.
Yeah, but like the thing is, at that time she was escaping she was killing to escape and get back to Katie, correct? So there was nothing funny going on in the movie. That scene of her dancing to kill that guy, why did it exist? Like you said,
also, if she needed to escape, she didn't have to go all the way up there.
Thank you.
Like he's up, she was in the basement. She
exactly.
went up to the top and then came back down.
Wouldn't
it doesn't make sense. You know why? Because you and I, in this hour and 12 minutes, Noah, we've spent more time thinking about this plot than the motherfuckers who made the movie have.
And they probably worked on this movie for 3 or 4 months or more, like really setting it up. So my thing is, this is my last thought of the entire movie because you just like refresh my mind. I genuinely forgot about that dancing scene because it was so stupid.
Yeah, it's forgettable.
Okay, but wouldn't it have been way more effective because M3GAN was brutal? She killed a dog and an old lady. She basically assisted with the kid, killing the kid in the truck.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she killed it.
Yeah, she killed that kid. Okay, so wouldn't it have been more effective if stopped that bullshit dance to him and just like walked menacingly to him and killed him? Like, because she was on a mission to get the fuck out of that place. Why did she have to do all that?
You should never do anything in your movie that is strictly for the audience. Do you understand me? Unless you are doing a Marvel film where you are gonna tongue-in-cheek, or if you're doing some kind of fourth wall breaking, but even then, apply the rule. Exceptions are there rarely, all right? But like, just don't have things in your scene that are strictly for the audience. If there is a conversation that is being had between two characters, that it only exists so that the audience can pick up on information that both those two characters should already have, then you're a bad writer. You're doing a bad job.
Yes.
I shouldn't say you're a bad writer, but you're doing bad writing, okay? And that's okay, but get better. Like that, there's no point in like it has to serve a greater purpose than that. If you're just
and that damn boss, of course, during that whole dancing scene, just sat there like a schmuck. Yes. Dancing scene, dancing queen.
Cut me in the spleen.
But he didn't do anything. He just sat there and waited to die, basically.
Yeah, he's like, oh, what is this? What are you doing, you weird robot? Yeah, they were
dumb. Oh, well, thank you for refreshing me. Now I'm even angrier about the movie, but I'll put my hands up. I'm not talking about it anymore.
We are at the 75-minute mark, and I think that's about it. We've almost talked about this movie for as long as it runs.
That's what we do. Yeah.
We'll see you next time, maybe with some preview reviews, but until then, check us out on Criticult. Yeah.